Crack-a-lackin', everybody. Welcome back to the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Neander, kind of psyched up here on a Friday morning. Yeah, I hope you're all doing pretty well. All right, I get it. Kind of shitty game last night, so if you had a lot of shares in last night's game, you're probably not thrilled this morning. But, is what it is. You take your lumps in fantasy football, right? You move on. What can you do, man? Can't hate the game, right? Hate the player. But, or don't hate the play, hate the game. I don't fucking know. Either way, you weren't fucking happy, right? Before we get into the rest of the preview and talking about last night's game, the Thursday night game, let's go over some quick news and notes around the league right now. So it looks like we have Broncos and the Vikings dealing with some COVID shit this morning. Another player on each team. Nobody that is fantasy relevant per se. Of course, everybody affects the game, but nobody that you need to know about for fantasy. And I love what the NFL is doing with it right now. They're just like, all right, listen, you guys go home. You're in fucking timeout. The rest of your buddies are in timeout. But the game's going on. That's just it. Like, no bullshit unless there's a lot of tests. So I love it. They're just like quietly trucking along. And what can you do, man? I'm thrilled with the way the NFL is handling it right now. I pretty much, very little doubt that we're going to get a whole season in at this point. So, let's keep it going here now. So aside from that, we know now that Joe Mixon will be out for this weekend for sure. He was ruled out. Go ahead, play Gio. Be ready to rock. Against the Titans, it's a good matchup. Not a great matchup, but a good matchup. I think we got a little bit of weather concerns there. We're going to talk about in a minute. You're rolling out with Gio. You're feeling pretty good about it. Hopefully, if you're the Mixon owner, you've got Gio, but everyone needs fucking running back help right now. It's brutal out there. So, roll them out there. The Jets, looks like Jameson Crowder is most likely not going to play. Brashad Perryman has already been ruled out. I know it's the Jets. They're playing the Chiefs, but, listen, we know they're probably going to be in catch-up mode, after about a minute in the game, right? So they're going to be throwing the ball around. You have to expect that. That means Braxton Berrios, but I think it really means Denzel Mims. I think this could be a weird game where you just see a real high amount of targets towards Denzel Mims. Just keep an eye on that. I'm not sure that I'm willing to play him. It's a big old dart throw, right? Like almost a blind dart throw. But you know what? Don't be surprised if Denzel Mims has a big day catching the ball from behind, 10 plus targets. It's just kind of what I see for him this week. Also, Michael Pirine, I already brought it up, in the preview for that game, but Pirine I think is going to be pretty good, playing from behind. So those guys are out. Not too much other injury news. We haven't had any clarity necessarily in the Seattle backfield, the San Francisco backfield. None of those are really any clearer right now. We're all just waiting and seeing. We're holding on to our guys, and we're just paying attention to what's happening. Let's talk about these weather games, because here we are now, late October, just about to be November, obviously Halloween tomorrow. And so we've got, some of these north outdoor games in the north are starting to, be affected by the weather. So we've got some games here. It's not so much precipitation this week, definitely not a snow week, but what we have are a lot of games with expectations of very, very high gusts of winds. And by high, I mean in the 30s and possibly up to 40 miles per hour. I think typically, you start hearing like 25 miles per hour is where we really start to worry for fantasy, for football, right, for quarterbacks. So let's quickly run through these games. We're expecting some bad weather. Vegas at Cleveland. Chance of rain, sustained winds of 25, gusts up to 40. For those that are thinking, that Carr and Mayfield are really good streaming matchups. They might be, but going into Sunday morning, if it's over 25 into 30, especially the way kind of Baker throws the ball, I'm going to get off of those guys for streaming quarterbacks. This one's a little bit harder because it's the Vikings at the Packers. Again, no chance of precipitation, but temperature's going to be low with the wind chill. It'll feel like it's in the 20s, and then we have 25 mile per hour sustained winds, gusts up to 40. The question is, do you trust Aaron Rodgers there? Hard not to trust him. I have a league where I have Justin Herbert, though, right? He's fucking killing it. They're playing at Denver. Beautiful weather in Denver. So you're not worried about anything there. I'm going to be sweating that decision all the way up until game time, I'm sure. Maybe the weather will chill out a little bit in Green Bay, but I don't know. It also affects Kirk Cousins. If the wind is that high on the road, at least Aaron Rodgers knows, Lambeau better than, probably anybody else at this point. He probably has an idea of the wind swirls and things like that. I don't know. Home field advantage, we'll see. But you got to start thinking about that. Saints at Bears, another one. No precipitation, but very high winds. You see the the pattern here all along the northern edge of the U.S. here. So 25-mile-per-hour winds, gusts up to 40, blah, 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 all the same stuff. But we know Breeze has already kind of been noodle arming it, so expect an already short air yardage game to be even shorter, right? Patriots at Bills, same thing. No precipitation, but high winds, gusts up to 40, temperatures, maybe chance of rain. And then, the winds aren't quite as bad as the other games here, but are going to have pretty high winds. If it's rainy and windy to start this game, you got to start thinking about your options here. I already don't want to play any Patriots, but maybe that affects your Stephon Diggs outlook or your Buffalo Bills running backs. If they're going to run the ball that much more, maybe those guys become playable. And then the Titans at the Bengals here is that last one. Kind of on the edge here. It's going to be a sunny game in the 50s, but sustained winds that could get into the 20s. So this one's kind of on that edge. Sunday morning, if it gets worse, maybe you'll be worried about it. If it stays the way it is, you're going to be fine with that game with the weather. So just a friendly reminder that weather is starting to play a factor in these games. And we saw that last night. So the Falcons go to Carolina Thursday Night Football, beat the Panthers 25-17 in a pretty ugly game all around, right? Swirling winds, lots of rain, just couldn't get a lot going, through the air for either team. The Falcons were moving the ball pretty well in the first half. They were sustaining drives for the first couple of drives and then couldn't get into the end zone, and then it kind of dried up after that. So weren't many people you were happy with their performance in the game. Again, what are you going to do? Matt Ryan, 281. He did run a touchdown in, threw an interception. Not the worst game, but obviously not where you were hoping for. Looking for maybe one of those shootout games. Todd Gurley, pretty brutal game as far as efficiency goes. 18 carries, 46 yards, just over 2.5 yards a clip, but he did get back into the end zone. So he got over 10 points. Wasn't involved in the passing game at all. Never a good sign. Brian Hill, more involved than you want to see him. 11 carries, 55 yards. He also had a few targets. And the problem was, for Gurley owners, it was just such a long time that Gurley was off the field. It just felt really long in my mind. I was like, holy shit, this is like second drive. Was it maybe like 3 drives at least? It felt like that really wasn't out there. I don't know. But either way, he got in the end zone, 10-plus points. Again, the way running backs are right now, you kind of got to take that. And on the outside here, Julio led the way by far. 10 targets, caught 7 balls, 137 yards. There were no touchdowns thrown in this game. But it was another nice game for Julio, over 20 points in PPR. You're fine with that. Calvin Ridley, unfortunately, went down with that ankle injury. Didn't look too bad. X-rays were negative. We don't have any timeline right now. At least they have the long week here. That gives them some more time. If you're a Ridley owner, don't worry just yet. It should be fine. And then you had Hayden Hurst, another solid game. Listen, he's not having any big games, but he's really not hurting you either. And his consistency is kind of nice at this point. 7 targets, caught 5 balls for 54 yards. They love that little play action where he runs, that little out and they hit him there for, 8-10 yards if he can turn it up the field. It works out pretty well. Teddy Bridgewater, tough game here. $176, touchdown and an interception. Mike Davis also struggled today or last night. 13 carries, 66 yards. They just weren't running the ball all that much. Caught one of his 2 targets for 11 yards. In this last game that you're getting from Davis without McCaffrey, very disappointing. You were just hoping to get that one more, big score from him before he pretty much becomes unplayable, which is their next game. So, now, listen, if you played Curtis Samuel, I said I wasn't ready to play him. They have been using him a lot more creatively. You saw another rushing touchdown here. He had 3 rushes on the day, 23 yards. That adds value. Just the opportunities add value. You got to see that. 5 targets, caught 4 balls, 31 yards, and another touchdown. So 2 touchdowns for Curtis Samuel. He did all the scoring here. If you happened to play him, you were thrilled. If you didn't, you weren't. The other guys that you played, DJ Moore, tough game. Caught 2 of his 6 targets for 55 yards. Had that one, last play that got a lot of yards. Other than that, it would have been really seriously brutal without that last catch. But hey, garbage time is, well, not even garbage time, but end of the game. Doesn't matter when it happens. Points are points. Robbie Anderson, 8 targets, 5 catches, 48 yards. Again, almost 10 points in PPR for a guy that should be your wide receiver 3. I understand right now he's a wide receiver 1, but the reality is when you set your lineup every week, he should be played as a wide receiver 3 or a flex, and you got 10 points out of him. Hard to really be, that upset. All right. So let's jump back into the Sunday preview. Where do we leave off here? We left off with the Jets and the Chiefs. So that's going to take us down south to Miami, where the Dolphins are going to host the Los Angeles Rams, who are playing pretty decent football. They're not dominating. I don't feel like it doesn't get that feel like they're a dominant team, but they're winning games. They're playing well. They're beating teams they should win. They're beating teams they should beat. So here they get to welcome Tua Tagovailoa into the league, and I have a feeling Aaron Donald is going to be welcomed into the league up close and personal here, maybe a couple of times. Not the game I'd want to start with, but hey, I know everybody's got beasts out there. You don't want any of these guys running after you, but Aaron Donald is still maybe a little bit different monster than everybody else. So we'll see how Tua does in LA. It hasn't been great for the wideouts. It's been a struggle deciding which running backs to play. Now, Miami hasn't been a bad team, defensively at all. They really haven't been. Well, let's see where they're at. Rushing yards per game. Dolphins, they're, just a little bit worse than middle of the pack. They're rushing yards per game. And let's start where they are in passing yards per game. Just a little bit better than middle of the pack. So, they're a middle of the pack defense. They're not bad. They only give up 19 points a game. Let me see where that ranks. So, they're third in the league in scoring defense, man. Doesn't look great for the Rams here. I don't want to play Jared Goff in this game. He just hasn't been consistent enough for me. You shouldn't really need a quarterback. There's not that many injured or on buys this week that you would normally play. But, I'd probably steer clear of Jared Goff here against this Dolphins secondary. Darrell Henderson, I guess you're definitely going to have to play him, especially the way running backs are right now. You'd like to see him getting the touchdowns, not Malcolm Brown. It continues to be a problem, but at least Cam Akers is not a problem. So you're getting the better half of a running back split in a team that wants to run the ball. And you got to hope the touchdowns, start to turn Henderson's way again. He's had some this year. Maybe he'll score again in this game. I would put it on Henderson to score this game if I had a bet. And, sure, you're probably still playing Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. They're getting some targets. Woods, I think, is more of a concern because he's just not, he's not getting any good targets, right? It's a lot of this, jet sweeps, a lot of this wide receiver screens, and he can make really, really, really big plays happen with those touches. But you also want to see him get some more opportunities. Now, apparently he's been, complaining a little bit about the lack of downfield, attempts. Maybe that, loosens things up a little bit here with McVay. They take a couple of shots at him down the field. I'd love to see it. But either way, they're both in your lineup. You're not thinking about Josh Reynolds even after the good week last week. You just can't do that. Higbee, I think at this point, let's see what the injury report says. I don't think I'd have Tyler Higbee in my lineup this week. Either way, there's a lot of, random tight ends that are kind of coming up right now. Higbee still questionable, limited practice on Thursday, hand issue. I don't know. I'd probably play Everett over Higbee in the same game, even if they were both healthy. But I don't want to play Everett either necessarily. He's outside my top 12. So, little sticky situation here with that Dolphins game. It seems like you want to play Rams, but I don't think they're going to have very high ceilings here. Let's talk about Miami. This is another really difficult one. So to tell you the truth here, there's a lot of good games here with higher over-unders. And I'm going to stick to those games a little bit more. I don't really want to play Dolphins this week. Tua, certainly not going to play him until I see it. There's no reason to. There's better streamers out there. Myles Gaskin has been very dependable. And that's just the truth. He's getting touches. He's getting passes. I don't know what the offense is going to look like with Tua. And, Myles Gaskin, of course, with what he's been doing so far this year and the way running backs look, he's going to be in your lineup. And I'm very concerned about Myles Gaskin this week having a bust week. So just putting that out there for you. Same thing with the wide receivers. Devontae Parker still battling with the injury, the groin injury. And we just don't know what his rapport is going to be like with Tua. It could be Preston Williams. We don't know that. Parker, he expects, Flores said he expects Parker to suit up. That's always good. He expects him to suit up. Second route down the field, man, he could hit that groin again and fucking out for the game, but I don't know. I do think you can play Mike Gesicki in this game. Tua might need that outlet, that underneath guy that he can, dump the ball off to. And so while that, I know that says that might be good for Gaskin, I'm just not sure if that means the running back. I think it's more likely to be Gesicki. And so if there's anyone in this game for Miami that I'm looking forward to playing, it probably is Mike Gesicki. I think he's going to have a bounce back week this week. So that's what I'm looking for in this game. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Here's the game of the week, baby. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. Fact of the matter is, it's the game of the week for NFL. It's probably not the game of the week for fantasy football here, right? You have a 46.5 point over/under, two great defenses in a divisional battle. 6-0 Steelers, 5-1 Ravens. Let's dig into it a little bit. No way I'm playing Big Ben on the road in this matchup. It's possible he has a good game. I'm not willing to bet on it. We know the road Ben, home Ben split. So we know about all that. And I just, the way the Ravens defense is playing right now, I really don't want to put up too many Steelers against them. You're probably going to have to play some of the wide receivers and kind of take your shot at them. Let's look at these Ravens here. Top scoring defense, and Pittsburgh is the number 6 scoring defense. Then you have rushing yards per game. Pittsburgh is the number 2 rushing defense. Baltimore looks like they're around number 10. And passing yards per game. Where are we at here? Steelers are like number 6, and the Ravens are like number 11 or 12. So, it's one of those games that could go either way, right? You could have a whole bunch of back and forth scoring, which happens sometimes in these quote-unquote defensive battles. So, I'm not going to play Big Ben. Absolutely going to have James Conner out there for sure. Expect him to be involved, in the passing game a good amount in this game, I would expect. What are you doing with Steelers wide receivers? Big question mark. Looks like both Juju and Deontay Johnson are back at full practice, so both ready to go, and that makes the decision maybe a little bit harder. So for me, I've got to rank them at this point this week: Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Chase Claypool. And that's subject to change minute by minute, during the game, after the game, week by week. The target share that Deontay Johnson gets when he's out there is undeniable. Every game he's been healthy, he's been in like the 12, 13 plus target range, pretty ridiculous. And, Juju had his first, big target game of the year this last week. And Claypool was pretty much out of the, game plan now that those guys were both back in. So, you can call it that they're going to get Claypool back involved in this week, and they very well might. But I'm going to go ahead and play Deontay. I'm not excited to play Juju, but I would as a wide receiver 3. And I don't want to have Claypool in my lineup this week as a flex, as tough as that is, because you know what the potential is. You just got to know that happened without Deontay Johnson. Now that Deontay Johnson's back in, we're seeing a little bit different here. Eric Ebron, playable, but I don't want to play him this week against this Ravens defense. Again, not expecting a lot of points. Ebron's a somewhat touchdown-dependent option, and I'm going to steer clear of it. All right, let's talk about these Ravens here. Mark Ingram. What's the deal with Mark Ingram here? Is he going to play? I don't think he's going to play. What are they saying? What's the most updated information? Didn't practice Friday. You know what that means. That means he's very unlikely to play. So that leaves Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Between the two, I'd absolutely be playing Gus Edwards. And I think, actually, I want to play Gus Edwards, to tell you the truth. We don't know what the split's going to be like without Mark Ingram, so that's true. And, we know that I just said his name, and then I lost his fucking name. J.K. Dobbins. I mean, we know he's the highly touted rookie, and so maybe they want to see what they have. Gus Edwards, every time he touches the ball, seems to make shit happen. And when he gets opportunities, he seems to make shit happen. So I like Gus Edwards this week. You could play J.K. Dobbins on the back end, but for me, he's pretty far back there. He's only a dart throw for me. I think Gus Edwards is the guy to play. And on the outside here, I don't know how many shots they're going to take down the field. Of course, if you're playing anybody, you're playing Marquise Hollywood Brown. I have him as a mid-tier wide receiver 3 with kind of high-end wide receiver 2 upside. I don't even know if there's the potential for wide receiver 1 upside this week. And then you want to play Mark Andrews. He just has that, just the touchdown, the high-value targets in the red zone. You're going to have a guy like Mark Andrews in this game. This is a game that the Ravens need. They need it for a lot of reasons. They're still going to be fine, and in the playoff run, if they lose, they're going to be 5-2. It's just about this division and momentum and feeling like, who's dominant going towards the rest of the season and towards the playoffs. And I think you're going to see a really big performance from Lamar Jackson in this game. I think he's going to run the ball more than he has pretty much all season long, try to tire out the Steelers defense and put some points up on the board. Fun game. I really wish they flexed this one out to Sunday night, but either way, we'll have to watch this one at 1 o'clock with all these other games. How many 1 o'clock games we got this week? NFL? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1 o'clock games. Well done. And 3 4 o'clock. Thank you. 8 and 3. Can't be like 6 and 5, right? 7 and 4. No, 8 and 3. Fuck. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move to the 4 o'clock games here. What do we got? All right, yeah, let's start with Denver. We're going to have the Los Angeles Chargers traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. 2 and 4 Chargers, 2 and 4 Broncos. Both, I think, the arrows moving in different directions. I feel like the Chargers' arrow is moving up, where the Broncos is kind of sideways, slanted down a little bit here. Drew Lock coming back hasn't looked that good. Let's talk about who we're playing here, man. So Justin Herbert, right, seems to be matchup proof right now. This is not the best matchup on the road, but at least the weather's going to be beautiful. Perfect weather here. It's not snow like last week that Mahomes had to deal with. And I think Herbert's going to put up big numbers here. As I mentioned earlier in the pod, I've got a league where I've got Aaron Rodgers, I've got Justin Herbert. I was going to play Aaron Rodgers. Now with all that wind, man, I'm tilting. I'm 50-50 right now. I very well might play Justin Herbert, which should tell you how good he's playing. That I might play him over A-Rod, who's pretty much on fire, except for that Buccaneers game. So, I think you're playing Herbert. He's in my top 12 absolutely this week. So, for me, he's a must start. Now, the backfield, trickier situation here. Justin Jackson looked good a couple weeks ago. Thought he was the number one. Then Joshua Kelly gets all these touches. Doesn't look anywhere near good with them, but he's getting all the touches. You had Jackson, getting some receptions, but also struggling with this knee injury. And, this dude, it's like every time he gets a little bit of an opportunity, he's got some weird little injury that won't go away. I don't see him on the final, or not the final, but I don't see him on the injury report anymore. So I feel like Justin Jackson's good. And if that's the case, he's the one I'd rather play. You might have to play both of them. Josh Kelly with the potential touches and, of course, the thinness at the position. You may have to have Josh Kelly in, but I'm absolutely ranking Justin Jackson ahead of Josh Kelly this week. I have Justin Jackson as a back-end running back 2, and I have Joshua Kelly as a back-end running back 3 this week. So that's where I'm ranking those guys. And then for the rest of your Chargers, you're playing Keenan Allen on the outside. I'm not taking a shot at Mike Williams or Travis Guyton. Just not doing it. You don't know who might get, the lottery card that week. But Keenan Allen's going to eat. And then, you're playing Hunter Henry. I know it hasn't been fantastic, but with how much they're throwing the ball and how good Herbert's looked, with how often they're near the red zone, I think you're going to keep Hunter Henry in your lineup for now, and we'll look at it if he has another bad game. So, all right. In Denver, man, definitely not playing Drew Lock. I know it's at home, and the Chargers defense isn't what we maybe thought it was going to be, but they're still not bad, and Drew Lock has not looked very good. So I'm going to hold off on Drew Lock. He's not on my radar for streaming this week. Philip Lindsay, listen, he's in the concussion protocol. He looks like he's moving through the way he should, and, with the concussion protocol, the thing is, if you get cleared, then I have no concerns, right? It's not like a hamstring or a groin where it might all of a sudden rear its ugly head. Either you're going to take a bad hit and look bad enough where you have to go to the tent or not. One way or the other. So, Lindsay right now looks like he's trending towards playing. Let's just say if Lindsay plays, I think you're going to play both of these guys and have lower expectations. One of them will be a running back 2 more than likely, and the other one will be a running back 3. We just don't know which is which. It'll probably be whoever gets the touchdown. If Philip Lindsay's out, then you're absolutely playing Melvin Gordon with expectations of high-end wide receiver or high-end running back 2 with possibility for running back 1 numbers. But I do expect Lindsay to play, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. Either way, should both be in your lineup. And then on the outside here, very, very tricky. Tim Patrick had a little bit of an off week. Of course, you have the weather there. I think I'm still fine to play Tim Patrick this week. I really am, as a wide receiver 3 or a flex. You might get burned, but I think the floor is still there. It wasn't even a terrible game last week. The weather's going to be great. Just don't expect it to be as bad as it was last week. So I would have Tim Patrick out there. I'd keep Jerry Jeudy on my bench, keep stashing him. I know it sucks. You're stashing him, you're not playing him, but just keep Jeudy around. You never know what's going to happen. Talking about the tight ends here, before we move on real quick, we have Noah Fant and Albert O. I've kind of given up maybe trying to say it, Albert Okwebunam. Either way, I'll try, but Albert O is fine with me. I'm not playing him or Fant this week. Again, as I mentioned, there's other tight ends you can play that might be out there for whatever reason they might be out there, right? I mean, Trey Burton, Jared Cook, a lot of these guys that haven't been played much in the last few weeks that may be out there, quite honestly. Greg Olsen, just saying. I would not want to have Noah Fant or Albert O in my lineup this week because I don't want that floor. I get it. They both had targets last week. Fine. I mean, they both had 7 targets. It's a lot of targets. Again, they were having trouble throwing the ball outside with the weather. Albert O looks good. I'm just worried. I'm worried if you play Fant, he's going to have 4 or 5 targets, and Albert O is going to have 7. And when you limit your opportunities like that, I'm just not in love with it. So, they're both outside my top 12. Fant's around 14, and Albert O is around like 19, it looks like. So, all right. Let's keep it rolling here. Very low over-under here. 43.5 point over-under for the New Orleans Saints traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. You already heard bad weather expected, chance of rain, high winds, all that stuff. So, what's going on here? New Orleans Saints. I'm not playing Drew Brees in this road matchup. Bad weather. Just not doing it, man. Just not doing it. So, I'm off of Brees. Well, you're playing Alvin Kamara. Obviously, don't be silly. And I think this game, if the weather, if they say, like, before the game, the weather's bad, I think this is one of those games where you can play Latavius Murray and expect running back 3 numbers. Back-end running back 3. I do think they're going to try to control the clock, run the ball a lot, extend drives. So I do think you're getting a nice mix of Murray and Kamara in this game. So I'm willing to play both of them. I'm willing to play, obviously you're playing Kamara, but I'm willing to play Murray in this game. Let's go to the outside here. Michael Thomas finally practiced, limited practice on Thursday, ankle thing, hamstring thing, beating up people thing. He's been dealing with shit all year so far. I don't know, man. I don't know what your options are. Michael Thomas, if he plays in this game, are you going to play him? The first game back, terrible weather, hard matchup. I don't know, man. That's fucking tough. If you've been getting wins without him so far, whatever lineup you've been rolling out there, if you got those options, I might roll that for another week. I know. Fucking crazy, but I don't know. I don't like it. I have no shares of Michael Thomas. So, I got no skin in this game, bros, and braettes. So, all right. We know Emmanuel Sanders is out. Let's say Michael Thomas is out again, and we know Emmanuel Sanders is out. Would I play Traquan Smith? Would I play Marquez Callaway? Well, Marquez Callaway is also questionable. Limited practice on Thursday. I don't know what weapons are going to be out there. So really, I'm going to play Alvin Kamara. I'm going to play Jared Cook. And I'm okay playing Latavius Murray. And that is it in this game. Of course, there's going to be some passes thrown. Someone's probably going to catch a touchdown. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm just not willing to bet on the receivers on the Saints this week. So I'm staying away, man. I'm staying away. And Chicago, I'm staying away from pretty much fucking everything. I mean, you got to start David Montgomery. I get it. He just gets too many touches. No matter how bad he is, you're still going to have him out there. He's sharing with Cordarrelle Patterson. It's all ugly there, right? What's up with Cordarrelle Patterson? So he's got a quad injury. He didn't practice. It might give more touches to Montgomery. It doesn't matter. He's going to score enough that he needs to be in your lineup. And he's probably not going to be very good. Allen Robinson normally would be in your lineup, of course. He's in the concussion protocol. He was a non-participant at Thursday's practice. And as of now, on Friday, I'm not expecting Allen Robinson to play. So, let's go both ways here. If Allen Robinson is cleared, then I'm playing him, right? Because like I said, the concussion is different for me. I don't worry about it like I do another injury. So if he's cleared, I'm going to play Allen Robinson. If he's out of this game, am I willing to play anybody else on the Bears? I mean, that's a tough one here. I probably would be willing to take a dart throw on Darnell Mooney, especially if I'm looking for upside, especially in DFS. I think Darnell Mooney could see 10-plus targets in this game, easily if Allen Robinson's out. Now, it might change the fact if Robinson's out. Maybe they shift the coverage towards Mooney and it pushes targets towards Anthony Miller, or in other places, Jimmy Graham. I don't know. Again, the weather's not going to be great. I don't love the matchup here. They're going to run the ball a lot, slow this game down. So I'd be willing to play Allen Robinson again if he's cleared. If Allen Robinson is out, for sure out, I'd be willing to play Darnell Mooney with my expectations of a boom bust weekend, one or the other. And that's about it. Yeah, you can still play Jimmy Graham with that. He's still getting high value targets, and he's still playing pretty well. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't play Jimmy Graham. It's all about your options here. We all know we didn't draft Jimmy Graham, so maybe you got him as a backup to Darren Waller or Mark Andrews or somebody like that. And of course, I'd be playing those guys, over Jimmy Graham. But Jimmy Graham's in my top 12, so yeah, he's starting tight end this week. All right, let's move it along here. 3 games left. Last afternoon game. Love this game too. San Francisco 49ers traveling to play the Seattle Seahawks. 4-3 Niners. 5-1 Seahawks. Over under a 54. Seahawks giving 3. And so there are questions. I know it feels like, you're playing everybody, but so many injuries in this game that you don't know who you're playing. Let's start with Jimmy G. Seattle has been fucking horrendous against quarterbacks, right? They're giving up shit ton of points, shit ton of yards, just everywhere. And they're scoring a lot, right? So when they're scoring, other teams are playing catch up and they're able to. I do see this game being high scoring, and I do think Jimmy Garoppolo is probably the number 1 streaming quarterback on the week. So you can put that on the record. I know they don't have Debo. I know their running back situation is hurting. They're going to throw the ball a lot this game. And I think Jimmy G is going to be over 300 yards with 3 touchdowns in this game. So, on the record, put me down for it. Jimmy G, streamer of the week at the quarterback position. Go ahead, make him your guy if you're looking. All right, so in the backfield, yeah, I'm playing JaMychal Hasty. I know that Tevin Coleman came off IR, and I know people are, thinking that he might play. And he could, in fact, be a great rest of season waiver wire pickup. If you want to throw him, on your bench, that's great. I'm playing JaMychal Hasty this week, expecting him to be a big part of this offense. I know, Jerick McKinnon is still there, and this is the way San Francisco rolls, right? When you say one thing, it's the other guy. McKinnon hasn't been getting work. They said they've been resting him. I do think he'll be more involved in the game plan this week. I do think you'll see a little bit of Tevin Coleman. I just think JaMychal Hasty will be the clear-cut number 1. And I always want to play the clear-cut number 1 San Francisco running back. Anytime I think there is one, I want to play that guy. So I got him out in my lineup here, right? Brandon Ayuk, picking it up lately after a couple of bad weeks. Definitely throw him out there. Debo is out. Ayuk is the playmaker for this team on the outside when they can't get the ball to George Kittle. So you're playing Brandon Ayuk. A lot of people are talking about Kendrick Bourne as a big sleeper this week, and that is very possible. I expect Garoppolo to have a big game. That means that, those yards and touchdowns have to go somewhere. I do think Kendrick Bourne is very playable this week. I mentioned him a few weeks ago when everybody was out, when Ayuk was out, when Samuel was out. I think Kittle was kind of hurt. And he had an okay game. I expected more out of him. So I don't know what to expect out of him here. I think you see a big running attack. I think you see a lot of passes to running backs out of the backfield here for San Francisco. And then I think you're going to see a 10-plus target day for George Kittle. And you're going to see like an 8-plus target day for Brandon Ayuk. I don't think it's going to be spread that much that Kendrick Bourne is a high ceiling play. So I think he's a low floor, low ceiling, kind of play. And I don't love that. So I'm going to stay off of him. I'm going to play Ayuk. I'm going to play Kittle. And then, all right, going over to Seattle. Well, obviously Russ is in your lineup. That's silly to think anything different in any matchup, in any weather. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about this running back situation. So, on the injury report as of yesterday, Chris Carson, game time decision. Fuck you very much. Thank you for nothing. Travis Homer held out of practice on Thursday. Carlos Hyde held out of practice on Thursday. The only healthy running back here is DJ Dallas. So, let's talk a little coach speak. You had Pete Carroll saying that Carlos Hyde's injury was nothing very, serious. So, I'm expecting Hyde to be available for this game. I thought, I'd mentioned him as my number 1, short-term pickup, assuming he was going to be healthy and Carson was going to be out. Now we don't know. So I think you still need Carlos Hyde on your bench, and it's a 4:25 game. So at 12:30 on Sunday, you got to put your fucking cards on the table, man, and decide who you're going to roll with. Just hear what they're saying. Try to, pay attention as much as you can. Go on Twitter. Find the Seattle beat writers, right? Who's on the field before the game? All that shit. and make your play. Because I do want to play Seattle's running back here. I need to play Seattle's running back here, no matter who it is. But I need to know who it is. And then, of course, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett are both in your lineup. I don't want to play any other wide receivers on a lark that they're going to be the guy this week, whether that be David Moore, Freddie Swaim, any of these guys. And then, in the tight end position, I mentioned Greg Olsen before. I do think he's playable as a dart thrower. I think he might be involved in this game. Low expectations, right? Back end, tight end 1 is my, high end expectation. But I just think he's playable. And if you're worried about, who you have, or you have a bye, Gronkowski is questionable now, whatever's going on, I think he might be a decent little fill-in there. Disley's been getting some reps. I get it. I still like it. Again, I don't love it. It's not like I'm saying, oh, gotta play Greg Olsen. Don't fucking hear what I'm not saying, right? I'm just saying, decent little dart throw, back end, tight end 1 if you're in need. All right, let's go to these night games here. Dallas Cowboys going to Philly to take on the Eagles. Dallas 2-5, Philly 2-4-1. A battle for the division lead. No, I mean, it is what it is, right? These things aren't that bad. Bad situations, injuries, all this shit's going on. In Dallas, it looks like it's going to be Ben DiNucci, right? DiNucci. So what are we doing here with our Cowboys? This is fucking tough, right? I mean, we're talking about Zeke Elliott. I already mentioned the fact that he's going to struggle to be a running back 1 for the rest of the year. I don't care about volume and talent on the outside. Maybe DiNucci comes out and finds some magic here, but there's still a shitty offensive line. There's still a really bad defense. I don't know here, man. So, yeah, of course you're going to be playing Zeke because, he's Zeke. You got to have him in there, but I don't like it at all. I wouldn't be expecting that much out of him. Hopefully the passes are there. If the dump-offs are there, if DiNucci is using the dump-off, then Zeke will be fine. But I don't know. I got to see it. On the outside here, I guess you're playing Amari Cooper, and that's it. That is it. Everyone else has become unusable or droppable. Dalton Schultz, droppable. Michael Gallup, droppable. It fucking kills me to fucking say that. He was my dude. But for lots of reasons, he's just droppable, not usable. And CeeDee Lamb, I don't want to say droppable. I think you want to keep him on your bench probably when Dalton comes back. He might be usable, but it's a bad situation here in fucking Dallas. Don't like it at all. All right, Philly. Carson Wentz continues to do the best with what he's got, man. I've been using the phrase making lemonade from fucking turds, and he really has been. He's getting Jalen Reagor back this week. He's found a new weapon in Travis Fulgham. We'll see what happens, but Carson Wentz is he's probably not streamable anymore. He should be on lineups after his good performances, but he should be started this week. If for some reason he was out there, yes, he would be my number 1 streaming quarterback on the week. But I don't think he's out there anymore at this point. I think he's rostered and benched on a lot of teams. But if he's out there, he is my number 1 streaming quarterback of the week. All right, Miles Sanders, non-participant at Thursday's practice. This is another one where you just want clarity, right? Because if Miles Sanders is playing, yeah, you're going to play him in this great matchup, and just hope he's healthy through the game. And if he does play, I don't see how you could play Boston Scott, hoping there's enough leftovers, enough little left on the plate to eat. I don't know. So I wouldn't be playing him. If Miles Sanders is out, of course you're playing Boston Scott. Easy play. As someone, listen, I hate to be that guy. I got shares of Miles Sanders, and I've got some shares of Boston Scott. This week, I need them to rest Miles Sanders. Give him that rest. I think the bye is next week. It only makes sense. Let him rest. Give Boston Scott another monster fucking week because Papa needs it. Over under a 43 in that game, just so you know. Ugly. All right, let's go to our last game on the docket this week. Monday Night Football. 5-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to New York. I always say New York. They're traveling to New Jersey. Let's be fucking real. To play the New York Giants. 1-6 Giants here. Listen, I mean, this has, it looks like it's going to be a one-sided game, right? Buccaneers are rolling. Offense looks good. Brady looks good. Defense is fucking nasty. And the Giants haven't been very good. They're 1-6. So, Chris Godwin is out with the finger issue. So, just so you know, if you didn't know, now you know. You're playing Brady. I think you're playing Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette in this game. I think Rojo will get enough work on the ground, and then I do think Fournette's going to get a good amount of work both on the ground and through the air, especially in the second half if the game script goes the way you expect it to with them up, maybe by a couple of scores in the second half. I think you see a lot of Fournette. Either way, I think they're absolutely both playable. I think Fournette probably outscores Jones this week due to the receptions, because you saw Ronald Jones just fucking brickhand that drop last week. Holy shit. Jason Pierre-Paul has softer hands than fucking Ronald Jones at this point. But it is what it is. Rojo's still going to get some work on the ground. I think you play them both. Mike Evans, yeah, he's been disappointing. But without Godwin, before they get Antonio Brown into the lineup, I think you play Mike Evans here. I think it's a good game to get him more involved. Now, the other part of that is James Bradbury over there for the Giants, right? When he was with Carolina, he faced Mike Evans twice a year. And quite honestly, was really, really effective when he was guarding Mike Evans. So, yeah, you're playing Mike Evans. I think he has a chance to get a lot of targets, but I expect the efficiency on those targets to be very, very low. Scotty Miller, sure, you can ride that ride again if you want. You never know how that ride's going to go, right? It's like, it's like dating, crazy eyes bitch, right? You're like, all right, I shouldn't say that. Never mind. Let's go away from that comparison. Don't want to get myself in trouble with any of my handful of viewers here. But yeah, so there you go. Scotty Miller, you can play absolutely. I just think you got to be worried about the boom or bust content. The last time it seemed like, he had a great opportunity here. You weren't sure. Scotty Miller's also limited at Thursday's practice with a hip and groin issue. So we'll see. Rob Gronkowski would be a must-start tight end, but now he's got a shoulder thing that just popped up. Limited at Thursday's practice. Hey, if they say he's good, you're probably going to play Gronk. If for some reason he's out, and we already know O.J. Howard's out for the year, Cameron Brate becomes one of the sleepy mofos on the week. Guy you want to get in, I'm telling you, if Gronk is out, Cameron Brate's going to score a touchdown. Put that shit in the bank. Only if Gronk is out. If they say Gronk is playing, obviously I'm not going to play. Cameron Brate. So let's finish up here with the G-Men. Going to be really quick, really easy here. I'm not playing Giants this week. If you got to play someone, I guess you're playing Sterling Shepard. I guess you could play Evan Ingram, on the guess that he might do something with the targets that he's going to get. He's going to get targets. You just pretty much also know he's not going to do shit with them. But you can play him, fine. I'm not going to. I'm not going to play a single Giant in my lineup. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I know Gallman's going to get some work. We don't know about Devontae Freeman. Let's see if we have any new news on Devontae. Didn't practice on Thursday with the ankle. So listen, Gallman could be the guy if Freeman is all the way out. And you said you have to play Wayne Gallman. I'd say I understand. You have to play Wayne Gallman. But you shouldn't want to against this Tampa Bay team. They're just brutal, man. They're brutal. So, all right. Well, that's it. That is it for the week. It's Friday, man. So, all right, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday of football. It's going to be a good week. I'm really looking forward to it here. Week 8, we're turning the corner here, halfway through the NFL season, over halfway through the fantasy season, and it's time to get on that Fantasy Express and choo-choo on down to the end of the line here. Let's pick up some points. Let's pick up some W's. Let's get those bragging rights and kick some ass out there. All right, everybody? So thanks for joining the GOAT here. Again, I'm Jim Neander, your host. Find us on Twitter at GOATFF Podcast, at Jim Neander. You can also listen to the podcast, which is probably preferable to looking at my face for an hour. You can listen on any of the major platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, or any of those. Should all have my thing. I have this hosting site that I put it up there, and then it puts it everywhere, right? So what everywhere means, I don't know, but it goes all over the place. So if you're on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. Appreciate all of that. Do what you can do to get the name out, and use the advice. Here's the thing. You always hold me accountable, right? Just like any of these guys should be held accountable. I'm telling you to start guys. I'm telling you to sit guys. I got to be hitting more often than not. Let me tell you something. Right now, the GOAT is fucking hitting on all cylinders. Expect to do it again this Sunday. Have a good one, everybody. Talk to you next time. See you soon.